Building Excellence podcast. And now we're going to discuss how do we set ourselves up to win in 2025?
Let's do it.
How do we make 2025 the best year we've ever had? Right now, I'm here with some phenomenal people who have just really not only impacted my life so much. I pray they've impacted yours. This is my lovely wife. Come on, somebody.
Hi, it's Devin Walker.
Hey everyone, I'm Tia Hopkins, also the host of Tea with Tia podcast on the Building Excellence Network.
So, guys, we have so many options on the table. I wrote down a few things of areas that typically people consider when they're thinking about, kind of improving themselves in 2025. So the question, how do we start stronger in 2025? How do we make this the best year possible? Um, the Another tag question I want to put on there is, what is one area that I'm going to focus on that I believe is going to make this year the best? Here are some typical options, spiritual, marriage, relationships, finance, character, parenting, leadership. Is there one topic that rises to the top for you guys that, like, you know what? This is an area that I want to focus on, and maybe here's why. Tia, is there an area that kind of resonates to the top for you?
Yes, I think the first word that came to mind for me is stewardship.
Mm.
And it sounds broad, but because it is, I think stewardship of all the things and all the areas. And so sitting down with, finances, sitting down with the relationship, sitting down with vision and strategy, sitting down with health, sitting down with all of the areas, your goals, if you will, and saying, okay, one, how have I been stewarding this area? And then two, how do I want this area to end? So now let me allow that to help me dictate how I should steward it in 2025. So yeah, I would say stewardship.
That's so good. Lovely. How about you? Is there a
Yeah.
specific area that you're processing for 2025? Like, man, this is an area that I feel like I want to focus on.
I don't.
Mm.
I love that. That was actually good. It's
Mm.
honest.
I
Yeah.
don't.
So, one of the things that I actually believe for most of us is the fact that, I haven't really processed the specific area
Yeah.
that I want to focus on. And that's what this part is really all about.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about this moment is being like comfortable to be like, nah, you know what? I don't got one
I
yet.
ain't got it, boss.
'Cause that's really what it's all about, right?
Yes.
And so, what I would like to do is leverage this moment to try to put some things on our radar screen.
Yeah.
To put some things on our radar screen to maybe perhaps focus on. Okay. One um, quote, I guess it wasn't a quote. I just heard somebody say it. Okay. This person said, many times as humans, we have a touchdown mentality, meaning that we believe that uh, every single day we're supposed to score. Okay. And because of that, we throw Hail Marys. Okay. We go for the gusto, and it's either we score a touchdown or we don't. And many times it's hard to score a touchdown in anything in life day one. So we create unrealistic expectations for
Good.
ourselves that we're supposed to be great in this area right now, today.
Right.
And so, because that's an expectation, when we don't reach the success that we want, we begin to feel less than. Our confidence begins to wane. We begin to have this imposter syndrome kick in. Even depression can kick in. And identity crisis can kick in. And so, um, one area that I think that kind of connects to all of them is allowing ourselves to shift from this touchdown mentality. So I'm giving a football terminology because this person did that. He said, Instead of having a touchdown mentality, have a first down mentality.
Yes. So
That
good.
football's about
Yes.
first downs, really.
Yes.
If you just get
Yes.
10 yards and 10
Yes.
yards again and 10 yards
Yes.
again and 10 yards
Touchdowns.
again, then eventually you're going to
Yes.
score that touchdown.
So good.
So it's not about Hail Marys. Honestly,
Mhm.
Hail Marys are only supposed to be done out of desperation.
Yes. Ooh,
So stay out of desperate moments.
so good.
Just get a first down. Just get a first down. And so some areas that I just think that we can begin processing this in 2025 is okay. And how do I get a first down spiritually?
Mm,
What are some things that I could do could just grow spiritually? Maybe
mhm.
that's the one area of your life that, you know what, I'm going to start getting some first downs in.
Yeah.
Maybe you're like, okay, I want to start getting some first downs in my marriage. My
Mm,
marriage may not be where I want it to be.
mhm.
And maybe I can start getting some first downs there.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the relationship side.
Mm,
Like there are some relationships in my life that matter, and I'm just not focused on them. I want to talk about this one a little bit more because um, I've had a number of people come up to me recently talking about relationships.
mm,
And here's been the common denominator that people are under the impression that relationships just happen,
mm,
and that when they happen, that there isn't a price that you have to pay to make them happen and to keep them.
Mm.
Meaning that relationships are supposed to be easy.
yeah.
Chemistry is just supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Um, we should just our schedule should just be available. Getting
Mhm.
together should just be easy.
Mhm.
When actuality, man, um, you name the person, no matter what, they're going to be different than you,
Yes.
and patience is going to be required of you. Grace is going to be required of you,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to leverage that in order for you to create the relationship that you really need.
For sure.
Now, the other issue with that was m- people not believing that they need
Mm.
the relationship.
Wow.
Okay,
Mm.
so I want to like camp out on this one for a minute. Do you need close relationships that you can talk about anything to in order for you to have the best life?
Mm.
Do you need somebody that you can talk to about your marriage if you're married, that you can talk to about struggles with your job or struggles with your finances or struggles in your manhood or
Mhm.
womanhood?
Mhm.
Do you need somebody in your life that you could be vulnerable?
Mm. Mm.
Um, I would love to ask you guys that question and why or why not?
Mm.
Uh, do we need those type of relationships? Do we need those type of relationships?
A resounding yes.
Mhm.
Um, absolutely. And again, I think it's good what you said, these type, right? You don't need all of them, but there's certain types that you do need for that outcome. I'm reminded of James 5, I believe it's James 5:16. It says, confess your sins to one another that you may be healed.
Mm.
And I think oftentimes, potentially, we confess to God looking to be healed, but confession to God is for forgiveness. He actually says in his word, confess to one another. That's a
Yes.
person to be healed. So some of us are walking around with
Mm.
forgiveness but unhealed because we've not chosen to have that conversation with the close friend, the spouse, the therapist, or whomever. And that's a small part of that context, but I think it speaks to the bigger thing of we need people. We need people who we can glean from, who we can do life with, who can mentor, coach, who we can even do the same. But yeah, absolutely. Resounding yes. It is absolutely important that we have healthy relationships to be able to do life with people. Man, there's so many. Two are better than one. You know, the
Man,
three-stranded cord cannot be easily broken. You know, just so many
So
things
good.
come to my mind. Not just biblically, but in my own life where I was like, man, I'm glad that I did that with someone. I'll give a very practical and real example with Devin and I. I have experienced divorced before, and it was the very first Friday after I had moved into my new place and all the things, the divorce was finalized, and I was hungry and I was doing my normal Friday thing, which was running errands. But also, what was normal for my Friday evenings was date night. And so I was getting a little hungry as I was running errands, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to grab something to eat." And I went through the drive-through, and as I was processing what I wanted to eat, I said, "OT, I said, let's get a kids meal so that you're not hungry for later for tonight's date night." And as quickly as I thought it, I was reminded there is no date night.
Mm.
And I started bawling. The lady on the other side of the receiver at the restaurant, she says, "Ma'am, are you okay?" I said, "It's okay. I don't want this anymore. This is me." And I immediately called Devin.
Wow.
And I sat there, and that I'm still in the drive-thru. I don't
Wow.
remember if I was holding up a line or not. But in that moment, I needed my friend. And I didn't need just any friend. I needed a friend that was safe. I needed a friend that understood. I needed a friend, who would allow me to be vulnerable, but would not allow me to be stuck.
Woo!
She would allow, she's gonna allow this moment, but we're not gonna bash. We're not about to turn this into a gossip session. It wasn't that. I knew I needed my friend, and I needed this friend. And I called her. And she was like, "Oh my goodness, T." And she talked me through. And by the end of that, we were doing what we do best, laughing. It was a moment, and it was over.
Yeah.
Never happened again because of how it was handled in that moment through friendship. So yeah, it matters. That was like 6 or so years ago.
Yes.
Very pivotal time in our friendship.
Yeah.
So yeah, it matters.
Love you.
It
Agree with
sure-
that?
Oh, totally agree. 100,000% agree. I would say this. Young Devin didn't value friendships when I was like young. If you did me wrong, I wrote you off.
Mm.
I mean,
Yep.
I didn't, I don't like conflict. I don't like, you want to argue with yourself. Okay. I don't, free spirit. Nope. Moving on.
Yeah.
Next friend. Like, I would write you off. And so, older, mature Devin, the friendships that I have, I value them so much. The relationships I have, I value them so much that I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do to keep those relationships.
So good.
So if it's phoning a friend, we're going to talk.
Yes.
All the things, whatever you name. Like you said, 2 is better than 1.
Yes.
I need somebody I can bounce ideas off of. I need somebody I can cry, be vulnerable with.
Yeah.
Like, you need relationships are important.
Yeah. Who
Hands
can
down.
even hold you accountable?
Hold
Right. You need friends who don't just tell you yes to
Accountability.
everything. Friends that say no. Friends that say that wasn't right. You could have done that better.
So good.
Right. Friends that say it in love. Right. Something that a lesson I've learned over time and it's been really helpful for me is we can say things that hurt, but we didn't intend for them to hurt. Because me saying it to hurt and saying something that hurts, those are 2 different things. And you may, as my friend, say something that's hurtful, but you didn't intend it to hurt. So I need to even receive and process that the right way.
Correct.
Yes, communication falls on the
So
communicator, but hearing falls on the listener.
Oof.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
And so sometimes you may have to hear something that's hurtful, but it's not because you meant it to hurt me. And those are just different spaces, but you need that in friendship.
You definitely
Everything is not shish kum rah.
If you got yes men around you, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I had to cap out on that one before I just finish the rest of this list as we kind of close out this particular podcast, just trying to do our best to help all of us, grow in 2025 to
Yeah.
help this be the best year.
Yes.
So some of the areas that we said, let's get some first downs in was spiritual, marriage. We just talked about the importance of relationships, knowing they're important, knowing it takes sacrifice to get them and to keep them. Maybe you need to get first downs financially. Maybe you need to get first downs in your character and integrity because you want to be someone that's trustworthy so that you can have responsibility. Or maybe you need to get first downs in your parenting. Maybe you need to get first downs in your leadership. So our challenge to you from the Building Excellence crew is pick at least one subject. Could be from that list or it could be from something else that maybe the Lord put on your heart. One thing that we embraced is that it's hard to pour in a full cup. Okay. It's hard to listen when you feel like you know it all.
Yeah.
However, it's real easy to pour into an empty cup. So y'all, let's just be vulnerable in 2025.
Yes.
Let's be empty cups and let's grow in some area. Let's bring that empty cup in some area, get some first downs and say, you know what? I'm not going to be a full cup.
Yeah.
I'm going to be empty. I'm not going to be a know-it-all. I'm going to listen. I'm going to grow in one of these areas.
Yeah.
All right. Stay
Yes.
tuned for the Building Excellence podcast,
Yes.
because we're going to definitely be concentrating on some of these areas. I can't wait to talk about mental health,
Yes.
because we know that's a huge area that some of us need to
Yes, it
come
is.
in as with the empty cup. We're going to talk about finances. That's
Yeah.
going to be so cool to talk about the empty cup. And we're also looking forward to talking about just how do we just have a cure to all the chaos in life,
Yeah.
and overcoming being overwhelmed and
Yeah.
juggling different things and all the things that life brings.
Yes.
Those are just some of the few things that are going to be coming up in the first few seasons of the Building Excellence podcast. Man, we appreciate you guys. Thank you all for joining us this time. Thank you,
Yes.
Tia. Thank you, my
Yes.
lovey.
Thank
This
you,
has been a
BW.
blast.
Thank you.
I hope it's blessed y'all. All right. See y'all soon.
Yeah. See you soon.